It'll go down in history as the greatest party that never happened.
All these models, like in the Bahamas. The most insane festival the world has ever seen.
Island getaway turned disaster.
It became very barbaric.
In 2017, the Fyre Festival made global headlines after overpromised and under-delivered, scamming investors and thousands of partygoers out of millions of dollars. The event also shone a spotlight on social media influencers, highlighting how many of them manipulate followers to make a quick buck.
Gabrielle Bluestone was one of the original journalists who exposed the festival's failings, winning an Emmy for her work on the subsequent Netflix documentary. Now in a new book called Hype, Bluestone investigates the age of social media scamming and how we've all fallen victim. Fake endorsements, miracle cures. She asks, are we living through a golden age of grifters, and if so, why are we all still following along? Gabrielle Bluestone joins us live from New York. Hi, Gabrielle. You were one of the first to break the Fyre Festival story. Now, on a global scale, this was the first event to really show the perils of social media influencers. Do you think it was a wake-up call?
I think it was a wake-up call that nobody really answered. You know, social media is such an interesting beast in the way that we relate to it, because studies have shown ever since, you know, social media migrated from our computers to our phones and they're constantly in our pockets, there's this rise in negative affect. It creates these negative feelings, whether it's loneliness, jealousy, FOMO. And so our phones kind of have become this way for us to fill these emotional needs, right? If you're bored waiting online at the post office, what do? You pull out your phone and you scroll through it. So we were already primed to be influenced in a negative way. And we're too hopelessly locked in to go back now. And unfortunately, everyone that was involved in the Fyre Festival is still out there making money and selling us things on the internet. So I don't know that we've really learned a lesson from any of this.
Yeah, it's so much a part of our lives, isn't it now? In your book, you talk about followers giving worth to social media influencers. Why do we trust them so much, do you think?
Well, the interesting effect of social media is that you follow your friends and celebrities and brands, and they all look the same when you're scrolling by. So it's had this flattening effect where, you know, advertisers and marketers and brands are behaving the same way that our friends do. And so it's very easy to kind of lose sight of the fact that some of these posts that we're seeing are, you know, they're entirely to influence and manipulate us. So it has this effect of social media causing us to see influencers like they're our friends. We're invited into their lives. We know where they live. We know what they do all day. And we're following them because we like their lives. And so they, by advertising us products, are kind of offering us a way to be like them. And it's a very irresistible lure. What we forget is that, you know, each follower is another dollar in an influencer's pocket, and we don't think about that aspect of it that often.
So we often hear of anonymous fraudsters coming for your money through a scam email, right? But what's the difference between that and the tactics of maybe some dodgy social media influencers?
Well, certainly their methods are different. You know, they operate on different platforms, but I do think that their effect on us is the same. Whether it's a scam email or, you know, a scam social media influencer, they're effective because they are laundering their scam through something that looks like something we trust. So with scam emails, it might look like something that we might be expecting, or use language that sounds familiar because their goal is to get us to click. And social media influencers are the same way. They are using messages that we recognize from people that we trust, and they're trying to get us to click on their links too. But I think the difference is that social media influencers also prey on our emotions in ways that scam emails just can't. Because these influencers are often advertising a lifestyle that isn't realistic or based in reality, and they're trying to convince us that they're the ones that can provide it to us if we just buy their skincare products or just sign up for their coaching class. So there is an additional manipulative element to it.
There's so much going online, constantly streaming through our phones. But what are the biggest scams that we see through social media, and how do we spot them?
Yeah, so I'm in the U.S. and, you know, we've had to spend most of our our last year primarily online, lost at home, living online, which I think has made us even more susceptible to these kinds of scams. So you've seen in the U.S. especially, I think the government has tabulated at least $150 million in COVID-related scams, whether that's, fake products, fake testing, fake stimulus. There's also been a real rise in romance-related scams, so people catfishing on the internet or pretending to be in the army. There's also been fake animal shelters, a rise in that. People want to help out. And fake products is a big one, too. Things that are advertised on Amazon or sites like that, that when they show up, they really look nothing like what you paid for. And so a lot of it comes down to just we have to do our own research and kind of have a cynical attitude that probably the majority of what we're seeing is trying to manipulate us or trying to get something out of us.
So being more aware, but what about some sort of governing body to oversee all social media? Is that viable?
At the moment, the onus is really on the consumer to protect themselves. There's not a lot of recourse or oversight at the moment. There's not much the government can do. For example, when a social media influencer decides not to label their content as an ad, in the U.S., they can send out basically a sternly worded letter or, try and go after the company that paid the influencer. But for the consumer, it's largely too little too late. I think the most important thing that we can do is remember that if something seems too good to be true, it probably is. And especially in the case of social media influencers, they can only scam us if we let them. As their audience, who they are trying to sell to advertisers, we hold all the cards. So we can unfollow them. That's, I think, the biggest power that we have.
Okay, Gabrielle, it's fascinating stuff, isn't it? As you say, it is everywhere. Great to chat to you today from New York.
Thanks, Gabrielle. Gabrielle's book is called Hype. The picture on the front tells the whole story, doesn't it? And Hype is out now.